poetry. Poetry is something that is misunderstood, maligned, discredited, discouraged, and discouraging for many people. I want to help change that. I think it can be some of the most beautiful forms of art. It can be one of the most beautiful forms of art because it vibrates, it resonates both inside of us, but really physically, with the sound waves work its way around us and through our bodies. So that's why I think it is really important. It's not easy to define. It's individual. It's the poet, their experiences, their word choices, speaking to either to a general public, trying to get them to feel something, or trying to speak to individuals. And it is extremely, extremely creative. And I want you to see that. I want you to understand and appreciate it. We are going to do what is called deconstruction. The poet constructs and puts the poem together. We deconstruct it and take it apart. I want you to look at the form, the meter, sound devices, any meaning devices, and linguistic devices. We will look at all of those. Some of them we will spend more time on than others. Some of them you will have to become very comfortable with. Others you just need to know and understand. Poetry is set around the syllables of the words, and this is what we call meter. This meter is turned into lines. These lines are turned into stanzas. Meter is measured and organized pattern of syllables in a line. This is often the beat, the rhythm, the drumming of the words. They are stressed and unstressed words that we need to pay attention to. Sometimes it's clear and obvious. Sometimes it's just the way our breath or our diaphragm works. Here is an example from a Robert Frost poem. Whose woods these are, I think I know. Some of them you can clearly feel and see the stress or the accent of the syllables by the way it sounds, and others, like whose woods, you have to feel it in your diaphragm the way your breath changes. This is called a foot, and the length of a line is determined by the number of feet within each line. You can have meter, diameter, trimeter. We're not going to be concerned with this too much, but here is a pentameter. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? You don't always know where it's going to be until you say it out loud. Poetry is very important for you to try and speak it, whether it's just moving your jaw and saying it under your breath, but you do need to hear it, to have your voice depict it so that you can find the meter. The most important part, though, of poetry is its figurative language. It goes beyond the simple dictionary definition and the literal meaning to create something special and unique about the words chosen and the images created within the poem. The most common forms of figurative language are simile, metaphor, and alliteration. We will not be concerned with the alliteration because it's not necessarily imagery that it does create. It's more of a sound device. We'll look at that a little bit later. Okay? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to compare things that would not normally be compared. This is called simile, and we use like or as. It's very easy to find simile in prose and in poetry because we're looking for the words like or as, and that makes it obvious that we are using that figurative language, that literary device. So here are 3 examples for you to see. Metaphor is not quite as easy to see because it is things that are unlike but aren't being directly compared. You have to look for it or take your time and go back and find it. You will notice that in my examples, you will see that the verb to be is often used. Not always the case, but is often used. All right, so we're going to look at meter and simile and metaphor to begin poetry. In order to do that, I'd like for you to take some time and look at these two poems. Please pause your video player and take some time and read this poem by Billy Collins. Next, please pause again and read this poem by Tom Wayman about the poet. Both of these will be looked at in class, so please make sure that you have understood what metaphor and simile and meter are, and that you have read these poems more than once and have taken some time to try and understand at least your first and initial understanding of them. Thank you very much.